Julia Child presents the Chicken Sisters.
Every decade has their culinary trends that instantly mark them out as coming from another time and place. Dishes that either aren't around anymore or have fallen off the deep end popularity-wise. The 70s had cheese hedgehogs and pasta primavera. The 90s had molten lava cake at every restaurant, sun-dried tomatoes everywhere. But think all the way back to the 1960s and what dishes come to mind. Let me stop you before you get into specifics. Let me say one word, gloop. And if you don't know what that means, you will soon. Welcome to Do You Remember? I am Nostalgic Nick, and boy am I hungry. So today we're looking at some of the classic foods from the 1960s. Before we dive in, be sure to hit that thumbs up icon to show us some support. And subscribe to our channel for all things nostalgia. But now, without hesitation, let's get to these culinary masterpieces. Jello Salad. Ah, America. Our beautiful country where we value above all things life, liberty, and stretching the term salad to its absolute breaking point. Pasta salad, potato salad. Give me a break and give me a spoon. But nothing pushes the term salad further from its intention than this 1960s classic. If your family was like mine, no Christmas or Thanksgiving was complete without several neon-colored monstrosities filled with anything found left over in the pantry. Fruit, pretzels, marshmallows, cottage cheese. Absolutely anything, but mostly that fruit cocktail can. Because who doesn't want to slurp down some mouthfuls of jiggling, soggy bits while spending time with the people they love? Fortunately for most of us, Jello salads are kind of a thing of the past. Except of course in Utah, where Jello is the state snack. Crazy Mormons. Swedish Meatballs. Everyone has heard of the 60s staple Swedish meatballs, mainly because of a certain fast furniture store. But what exactly are they? Well, friends, unlike the currently more popular Italian meatball that's served with a bright tomato sauce, the Swedish variety comes with a rich cream-based sauce and a sweet accompaniment. Lingonberries if you're in Sweden, and grape jelly if you're in the 1960s America. And I don't think anything is more 1960s than serving meatballs with grape jelly. Ew. And though today there is some controversy over where the famous orbs originated, with authorities in Sweden alternatively citing both Turkey and France as possible birthplaces. But as long as the only place I can find them today is IKEA, they'll forever be Swedish meatballs to me. Fondue. Oh, melted cheese, how I love thee. Truly, is there anything more glorious in the world than a big pot of liquid cheese, happily bubbling away over an open flame? Nope, and people in the 60s agreed.
That is good fondue.
As a national fondue craze swept the nation thanks to two events. The Swiss Pavilion's Alpine restaurant at the 1964 New York World's Fair, pushing the goopy snack on the American public. And the invention of chocolate fondue in the mid-60s by Conrad Aglai, a Swiss restaurateur in New York. Suddenly, tiny forks laden with bits of fruit and bread were descending towards vats of molten deliciousness all across the US, as people got together with friends to throw wild fondue parties. Maybe not a coincidence that swinging parties also became a fad at the same time because, liquid chocolate. Beef bourguignon. Because of its ubiquitous status nowadays, it seems crazy that pre-1960s, the glorious dish beef bourguignon was unknown to the vast majority of the country. Although Americans had a long history of making various stews, it wasn't until Julia Child came on the scene that beef bourguignon became a mainstay of American cuisine. In 1961, Child released Mastering the Art of French Cooking. And within 5 years, it had sold over 100,000 copies. Plainly, it revolutionized how people cooked in their own homes. Instead of meals that took 10 minutes and were made with as many pre-made mixes as possible, suddenly people were spending hours to perfect what Child describes as, quote, certainly one of the most delicious beef dishes concocted by man. And a big thanks to one woman, Julia Child.
Bon appetit.
Tunnel of Fudge Cake. In 1966, at Pillsbury's 17th annual bake-off, Ella Rita Helfrich's Tunnel of Fudge Cake won second prize, which normally would be a disappointment to an aspiring baker. However, due to the cake's unusual appearance and incredible deliciousness, Pillsbury planned a massive marketing campaign around the confection, and soon Helfrich's creation was taking the country by storm. What unusual appearance, you ask? Well, Ella had used a relatively new invention called the bunt pan from the Nordic ware to give her cake a striking circular appearance with a hole in the middle. Hence the name Tunnel of Fudge for those of you struggling to keep up. Soon, every household in America owned a bunt pan, and Tunnel of Fudges were being pumped out at record pace. Shrimp cocktail. The history of the shrimp cocktail is a tale of wild ups and downs, from being the height of hip and cool to being trashy remnants of a bygone era. And right back again. But in the 1960s, the shrimp cocktail reigned supreme in the US, and all thanks to Las Vegas, that amazing den of iniquity. In 1959, Italo Gelfi brought the dish to the Golden Gate Casino, now one of the oldest gambling houses in the city. Gelfi priced the dish at just 50 cents, and it was an instant smash, with the casino soon selling over 2,000 a day. Soon, restaurants across the country followed suit, and suddenly every Don Draper wannabe in the country was crushing shrimp cocktails and martinis. And although the dish might not be at its 60s height in popularity, in 1991, the Golden Gate sold its 25 millionth shrimp cocktail. And boy, is that a whole lot of shrimp. Lipton onion soup dip. Onion dip was invented by an unknown chef in the 50s in LA, who combined sour cream with a whole host of ingredients, onion powder, fresh garlic, parsley, etc., making a delicious concoction. But it wasn't until Lipton released their dehydrated onion soup mix that the dip really took off. It was 1955. And suddenly, all you needed was a packet of powder and a container of sour cream to be the most popular person at the party. The American public took heed, and within a few years, every backyard shindig in the country was sporting a bowl of delicious white goop being shoveled into the mouths of child and adults alike. And while the dip remains as popular as ever, now you can buy it pre-made, relegating the onion soup mix dip to a thing of the past. Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska truly is a marvelous dessert, consisting of ice cream placed in a pie dish lined with sponge cake, topped with meringue, and then baked for a short time at a high temperature so the meringue browns, but the ice cream doesn't melt. It was supposedly invented at Delmonico's restaurant in New York in 1867 to commemorate the US buying Alaska from Russia. But the dish wouldn't reach its heyday for another century. So why? Well, because Alaska was the last state admitted to the Union in 1959, and the US was suddenly gripped with Alaskan fever. I wonder if any other states bake well. Baked Arkansas sounds particularly gross. Chicken a la king. Consisting of diced chicken and veggies in a cream sauce served over noodles or rice. People in the 60s loved this one because of how easy it was to make. And of course, because were you even cooking in the 1960s if you weren't smothering everything in an absurdly rich sauce? Although the recipe for chicken a la king is far older than the swinging 60s, there's about a million creation myths from around 1900. But the dish didn't reach the height nor receive the love it deserves until the 1960s chefs got their hands on it. Buffalo wings. And for the last entry on our list, we pivot slightly away from dishes that used to be a classic, but have fallen from grace to the greatest culinary invention of the entire decade.
Wings are here! Yes!
While I know most of you understand what a buffalo wing is, bear with me. It's a chicken wing, unbreaded, that is fried and then tossed in a sauce, usually consisting of a vinegar-based hot sauce and butter. And while there are multiple origin stories for the wing, it definitely first appeared in Buffalo, New York during the 1960s. It actually took some time for the dish to catch on with the mainstream public. And so, while the buffalo wing might not have been appearing on everyone's table during the 1960s, It is certainly the decade's lasting culinary legacy, seeing as Americans currently eat over 1 billion a year. Holy smokes.
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
There they are, some of the most classic dishes from the 1960s. How many of these do you remember eating in the 60s? Which do you wish would make a comeback today? And which dish that I mentioned would you never want to eat again? Get in the comments and tell me all things about the 1960s foods. Before you head out of here to the kitchen, please give this video a thumbs up to help it circulate. And subscribe to our channel so you never miss a memory from yesteryear. From all of us here at Do You Remember, I am Nostalgic Nick, and thank you very much for watching.
Bon appetit.